Update from the previous post. Am I the asshole for cutting off my sister financially after finding her unemployed boyfriend is benefiting from my money? This is exciting. I've never done one of these. I don't know if anyone still cares, but it's been about 2 months since my first post, and I thought I would post an update after recent developments because a couple of people have been asking me about it. Following my post and your comments, I decided to follow through with my decision to stop paying half the rent for my sister as well as half the utilities. Damn! So you just straight cut her off and was all like, it's time for you to live on your own. Mad respect, man. That's really hard to do. Like, especially because you know he's going to be feeling a certain way. It was a terrible feeling, honestly. I felt like I was failing the promise I made to her to always be there for her after our parents' death. I tried texting her a couple of times to check on her, but her answers were always very cold and passive-aggressive, just about how happy she was with her Sorry, I almost read that wrong because of my dyslexia. Her hobosexual boyfriend is apparently a term they coined. Thanks, Reddit, he says. That's a crazy name. I resorted to getting updates from her friends, the ones who told me about this boyfriend, until my sister found out and crashed out on her and called her a traitor. That's a shame. She's just looking out for you. Apparently, this boyfriend convinced her to cut her friend off for being toxic, and she did. She called me and told me to stop trying to meddle in her life since I refused to help her anymore. I decided to give her space she wanted, and I didn't hear anything for over the last 3 weeks or so. That's a shame. Look, you're your brother and sister. He cut you off financially. He didn't cut you off from being his sister or being family. He just stopped paying your bills. I don't want to they went through a lot. So me sitting here being like, that's a little entitled of her, feels rude, but like if the shoe fits. But a week ago, her friend called me and told me her sister was at her place and she needed me. She gave me the rundown of what had happened. My sister and the boyfriend had broken up after a couple weeks of arguments over her boyfriend's spending habits and the fact that he still didn't have a job. Big surprise. She found out that he'd lied about applying to a few jobs and confronted him about it. During their fight, he shoved her to the ground. No, you did not. No, you did not, you f***ing loser. Dude, this girl cut off one of the ideal situations that someone can be in, right? Other than the really sad part about not having her parents, she was having her bills paid. And she needed to find work, she needed to do stuff, but she literally had an apartment and she didn't have to worry about stuff. She got money for groceries, she got extra money because her bro, dude, she gave up all that for you. And what do? You take from her, you show her that you're gonna be a loser your entire life, and then you shove her to the ground because you're a big man. Come on, man. Oh my God. I'm so glad that this girl decided to leave. Sometimes it's hard, but man, good for her for doing it. I would like to say at this point, she came back to her senses, but that's not what happened. She allowed him to sweet talk and guilt trip her. Until she returned from work to find him trying to sneak another woman out of the apartment. When she confronted him, he got aggressive towards her again, and she finally told him to get out. Are you kidding me? Dude! I mean, he showed his pattern so many times, but people like this find a way to worm themselves back in with promises of, I'll be better. I can do so much. I could be exactly what you want if you'd only give me the chance. Just talk to me. Yeah. That's just heartbreaking. They didn't deserve that. The boyfriend refused because he apparently had occupant rights or squatter's rights after having lived there for so long, 7 months. So she left and went to her friend's place, which was when she told her everything. I drove over there immediately. My sister could barely look at me because she was ashamed. She kept apologizing for not realizing I was only trying to protect her, and I told her to stop. Okay, good. Good. See, you're every point this man has shown that he's a good person, even after all this, he's just like, look, people make mistakes. Stop. Don't worry about it. Let's handle this together. She brought up how the boyfriend wouldn't leave, and I told her that we could file a restraining order against him for assault. She didn't want to do it at first, but we managed to convince her to do it because that was the fastest way to get him out of the apartment. Nice! We went and had the order filled the next day, and we were granted a temporary protective order. Thankfully, the boyfriend didn't try to fight it after it was served to him, though I suppose he didn't have a choice. Get the heck out of there. You think you're so clever. You're going to beat up a girl that supposedly you love and that's only been taking care of you. And then you're going to try and do squatters' rights, dude? You ain't got no rights here. Get the hell out. It's been a calm few days, and we've since had a conversation about what comes next. She's going to find a smaller place with a roommate, which will cost her less than her current apartment. I'm not going to subsidize her monthly anymore, but I'm not abandoning her either. I'll help her out if I'll help her out if it's something she's genuinely having difficulty handling herself, but she has to try and live within her means. Great advice. I don't think she was happy about it, but she accepted it. I also mentioned that if she would like to go back to school or had better job prospects, I would help her out. She says she'll consider it. See, that's interesting. Like, if you want to go better your life, he will go back to helping you out. Again, that's like always the agreement, right? If you are doing something that is going to better yourself in the future, so you can at some point not depend on this money, why would they not help you out, right? Like, what a good dude. What a good dude. OP says, sorry for the long post, but writing this was very therapeutic for me. Thanks for all the advice on my first post. Hopefully, my sister has matured a bit from this experience. You did this so gracefully. Like, this is a masterclass of how to really help somebody who's dealing with an abusive person in their life, taking advantage of them. They don't need to be told or scolded about, I told you so, or why didn't you listen to me, or I knew better, or any of that. They just need compassion, because people make mistakes. People get fooled. People are sweet talkers. And they just need that helping hand, knowing that it's always going to be there, because unfortunately, the other side of that coin's always going to be there too. So get a support network if you can, and just help everybody you can, right? That's what I feel about this. Like, help when you can and reach a hand out when you can. That's the way about this life. I got to say, thanks for that update to the poster. Like, this was really cool getting to actually see the A to B, right? What do y'all think?